Right, welcome to Align Trading. Taking a look at this week's SPY recap before going over what to be watching into next week. Now, if you watched the video that I released last week on Sunday about what to be watching for this upcoming week ahead, we talked about how we would start building a potential handle right here, as you can see, as we head back towards this 200 while the 20-day moving average heads back down. So you can expect this bounce, right? We have this starting to form right here, and we close the cup back at this level right here, which I will show you just ahead of the gap, as you can see right here. So on Monday, right, we close this cup, and throughout the rest of the week, closing this second cup right here could not quite form this handle and give us this Friday rally, but we still can be building this inverse head and shoulder for once again another cup to form right here, and then we will retest the 20 and 200-day moving average. Otherwise, you do have to be paying attention to this inverse cup that we have right here. And if we want to reject this 5-day moving average again, just for Monday alone, you can see the liquidity right here and here that we will grab on the way down, like this, and close the cup back at this level from there, right? If we want to close the larger cup and continue heading back down, and on the daily, right, how that will look, we reject that 5-day, start to see this, and here's our bottom Bollinger again, and we will see if this starts trending down. But again, watch for the 20 and 200-day retest right here if there is a squeeze into early next week, and we do want to go fill this gap as well. Now, with the algorithms here as well, that handle we talked about as we push back towards the 220-day building right there, as well as this tapering white algo, which if at any point, right, even on Friday with OPEX, we had more of a sell-off, we would have seen that cup close right here, and then, right, a bounce before farming this handle or heading back up into this week, which we will see what happens here. Now, we can also see that the blue algorithm that we have right here as well. And then we have, of course, the yellow. So we are going to be watching to see if we do start to form that right here, grabbing this liquidity and trying to break out of that blue, grabbing this liquidity right here for that retest. Otherwise, right, breaking out of this green and white algo. So fairly straightforward from what we talked about last week and what to be expecting after this move down with the 5-day and this bottom Bollinger. We're going to have a point, right, where we do find some buyers and we get some sort of bounce, which we did. Now, if we want to continue, we will reject this 5-day. Otherwise, pay attention and we can look for something like that to set up larger, or if we do make a recovery, right, you see how we can form that inverse head and shoulder, regain these, and continue heading back up right here. This first level will be important to pay attention to, right, coincides with the 5 and 200, and then if we regain this, right, can continue moving up to these levels that we have right here. Now, I do just want to explain something as well with all of these levels that we have right here. If you pay attention, they are important levels. If you are only looking at this on the 30-minute chart, well, it's hard to catch a trade within that algo. Sure, right, it can make this move right here, but what you're missing is all of this in between, right? You can see the levels, right? They look jumbled. Well, they are actually important, as you can see right here, and you will find your trades off of them. You see the cup, right? This handle, oops, but you see this algo, right? That continues working right here. Same thing, right? Building this, we close that cup. Here's this algo again, right? Again, same thing. So if you're paying attention to these and you understand what's going on, you will know what to look for even here in the morning, right? Perfect inverse cup close with the OPEX chop. No handle, okay? Well, then you can watch for this cup to be forming, and then like we talked about with that algo, right? You get that move up. It even gives you that second structure as well. And then right here, right, we start to see this algo starting to form here. There's that inverse head and shoulder, right? We close this cup again, close that cup again, which we end up going past, but you can see how that does form. We also close this inverse cup right here as well. You can see that algo that's starting to form. It's quite choppy. We're not able to break below this white and continue moving down. Target would be down here at this close. Now, with everything that I just explained, at the end of the day, it is up to you. No one can trade for you. No one can just transfer the knowledge to you. You are going to have to put in your own effort, and it is going to take some time. I just want to show an example of someone this week, one of the students, and they were talking to me, and this is their algos. They have been progressing for a long time now, but as you can see that I have outlined here in the purple, these are the paths of the trades, and I have also outlined their algos a bit more because they are quite light on the chart. But you can see with just these three algos that he has charted, and then using the structure, and then of course everything in the real trade scenario, this is how you are going to be able to be successful with this. I am not going to be able to do that for you alone. As you can see, he is practicing every single day. The other thing too, and why I use this example, is he has been asking for guidance and review for months and months and months now, and it has finally started to not only pay off, but he's starting to understand the intricacies and the nuances that matter in this, which of course are those supposed secrets. They're not secret, it is just something you have to figure out through trial and error, and then also, like I'm saying, reviewing, journaling, understanding what you are doing wrong and how you can turn that loss into a win, turn the no trade into a trade, whatever it may be. And then at the end of the day, right, having those principles and those habits instilled into you to where you are not breaking any of your rules and what is going to make you profitable. The other thing about this too is this style of trading, we're not looking for the home run. Of course, it's nice and your runners, right, can do that work for you, but you want to be taking trades according to the structure. So if we look at something like this right here, you see how we have this inverse cup that starts to form, right, with this handle, head and shoulder. That is a trade, but you are looking for this inverse cup to close right at this level. So this is the major level, and then down here, right, you can see that we have this previous support as well. We get close to it, but even this trade right here, you know, you're almost $1 trade. So even if you get 40-50 cents of this off of that shoulder, that's a good trade right there. Protect some, right? You can see how it starts to hold below here again. You have that same algo. Sure, it's a little choppy, but you can see how it's holding below, right? That support, and continue heading down again, right? It's that same thing. See that handle? There's another scalp, and then finally that cup closes right here. You cannot always be looking for this trade right here to go all the way down. Sometimes it's only going to close this first cup. That handle may not form, and it may form this inverse head and shoulder. That is why you have, your stops and everything about planning the trade and understanding the structure before you go into it. And while you're in the trade, as the structure begins to change, don't ignore it, right? You can always re-enter, can always get another trade. Now, with all that being said, I just want to put some of those thoughts out there so you can use it for maybe not only encouragement, but just some guidance and understanding. This is how I trade. This is how I'm viewing it. So just wrapping things up here, though, next week we do have PMI, consumer confidence, jobless claims, GDP, PCE. So just pay attention to those news events. Obviously, trade the structure as always. But that is all I have for the video. So thank you everyone for watching.